That's right. Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5. Folks, times have been stressful, and in all honesty, we need a little vacation. But since we can't quite go to Disneyland or Disney World at the moment, we decided to go with, well, the next best thing.
So, get ready to pack your bags for a road trip that will take us all over the Disney animated TV canon. Now let's grab the Hi Dad soup and pencil in our destination. It's time to take an animation vacation. And tonight we're talking about the self-titled, theatrically released Teacher's Pet.
Yeah.
All right, Dragon. So, time to talk about some baggage, context, and nostalgia. Um, it's funny, Dragon. I remember when this movie was coming out. For some reason, I was like just starting to get into the Disney fan community, and it was being lambasted, dude. Like in terms of just like, oh, what are they doing with the Pinocchio parody? What is this? The animation looks sloppy. It's Nathan Lane is already really overexposed at Disney. Everyone's sick of Nathan Lane. The vibe towards this movie, Dragon, I remember being very cynical and very much, of course, we're dealing with people that are like our age back in the day, so kind of like Generation Xers who have probably been in Anaheim for too long and are just sick of the Disney spirit, just in general. I don't mean to paint such a vivid picture, but that's kind of the way it was back in the day. So, Dragon, I never really gave this movie a shot. I never really watched the show at all, I got to admit. So, going into this, I don't think this is a perfect movie by any stretch, but I will say that as a fan of animated musicals, man, this movie has some songs that slap, man. It really does. It's got some bangers in it. It's got some real crescendos. I really do think that the animation is very creative and high energy and almost kind of like Looney Tunes-esque in its delivery. I'm not crazy about the characters, with a couple of exceptions that we'll get into. The mother is delightful. We'll get into her. I love her. She's easily the highlight when it comes to the cast of characters. But overall, I had a good time with this movie based almost solely on Kelsey Grammer and just the musical numbers in general. I assume you have a little bit more baggage with this, Dragon.
Wee bit more, yeah.
All right.
All right, so Teacher's Pet. This is Gary Baseman's Disney series. Very much kind of the best way I could describe to you Gary Baseman, not knowing a whole lot about the guy, but knowing him a little bit through his work, is that he's kind of like it's kind of like a family-friendly John Kay style,
I kind of got that vibe, yeah.
It's like imagine more Stimpy than Ren. That's kind of the best way I could put it. A little bit more, like a little more Stimpy than Ren. Less cynical. That's the thing. It's a little less cynical, but it has like a cynical style. It's like it's drawn cynically, but it's not acted cynically. But it has an edge and it has a wit. And Baseman, he's kind of he's an illustrator. I think he's done some kids books. He's done some other stuff. Point is, he's got a very distinctive style, which is pretty much the Teacher's Pet style. And he's actually in the later years after the show. Actually, he's opened a few art installations. He's got like a whole he is like an artiste artist,
Mm-hmm.
But third is he tried doing this documentary about World War II. I don't know where it went or anything, but it was a big passion project for him. Point being, Baseman's an interesting guy, a guy you can never quite get a full read on, but an interesting guy nonetheless. Anyway, so for me, Teacher's Pet was kind of during my kind of the Toon Disney phase for me here, where you had this, it was like you have like the special channel, you get all like some of the. I don't know if it was specifically the Disney Channel. It was like one of those specials, like kind of a special cable channel they had back then. And it was like that kind of where I was getting Teacher's Pet and Bonkers and Lloyd in Space, that sort of stuff.
Disney.
I think it was probably Toon Disney. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of the Toon Disney years for me is when I was kind of exposed to Teacher's Pet. Basically, kind of these experimental Disney shows. It really feels like we have like a Bonkers, a Teacher's Pet, a Lloyd in Space. Like kind of these. We're gonna see what sticks. Kind of like go a little off base, a little off brand with these shows, and see what happens. And And basically, for me, Teacher's Pet boiled down to it was an excuse to showcase how great Nathan Lane can be with kind of a simple and fun premise. Okay, he's a dog who wants to be a boy, but he's voiced by the very verbose Nathan Lane. What's not to love? So that was selling enough for me. And again, I admit the design's not always the most appealing, but again, like that the charm of that character and some of the and kind of like the simplicity of the premise. You know, the teacher who was a mother, and Scott Ledready the second. There's a lot of charm for days, and Wally Shawn as a regular antagonist. There's a lot to love.
Yeah, Wallace Shawn playing essentially the same character that he played in a Goofy movie.
Pretty much, yes, pretty much. Just with a cat motif. The same character with a cat. Right. That's about it. So with the movie, I can't say for the life of me, but I'm pretty sure I saw this in theaters. I saw this in theaters. It was an event, and also, as you can probably guess, a running theme to things. And believe it or not, there's actually a lot of connective tissue. But we're so oddly connected with a lot of these movies we've been doing. Like a little reference here and there has been like a little connecting point. But yet again, a series finale, as you can probably guess, going theatrical to series finale. In this case, to a more obscure show, because Teacher's Pet didn't do great numbers wise. It kind of got. It got two.
How the heck did it get a theatrical movie then?
It's weird because it got there's like 2 seasons, but the second season is broken off into 2 halves, so it's kind of like 3 seasons in a sense. And I don't know if maybe that necessitates, like, it's popular enough. Basically, we don't want to do it, but we like this creator. Maybe we want to see what he would do theatrically. That's my guess as to what it might have been. But the point being, instead of giving like maybe it might have been like a deal. Instead of giving you another season, we're going to give you a movie to end things out on, and maybe we need to fill a slot. And it had been kind of a pattern at this point with the kind of we're doing features like the Recess movie, giving it a feature. Perhaps that was the theory. If I'm a betting man, I want to say that was kind of the theory. And I forget if Teacher's Pet was the last kind of theatrical Disney series gone. Disney series given a theatrical finale. I don't know if this was the last time we did it, but I don't know. It's interesting.
There's none that I can think of off the top of my head.
That's what I'm saying. It makes me think this was the last one for that, because everything else has been kind of given the direct, either on TV or the
movie, yeah,
TV or direct to DVD, one of the two. Anyway, so point being, in this movie, big things happen. Maybe a little too big, but I gotta bet at the end of the day, the big stuff gels with the premise of the show a little better than giant space lasers. So it's what it is.
That's fair. That's fair.
Now, at least this laser's thematic versus like, hey, we're moving the moon for test scores. Yeah.
As you do, James Woods.
And this really grounded show about just having wistful memories of school. So yeah. Anyway.
All right.
Right. So, little plot. Let me read you a little plot here, kid. A little summary. It's been a while since you've seen this movie, and again, all these movies on Disney Plus. So it's where the synergy is. Go check it out. All right. Okay, plot goes a little like so. So it's the end of the school year for Leonard Helperman and Scott the Ledready II, and Leonard's mom gets nominated for the Teacher of the Year award in sunny Florida.
Florida.
I knew you were gonna love that because I completely forgot that he put so much emphasis on Florida.
Florida.
Anyway, so
it's a whole movie about Florida, and yet we never go to Disney World.
No, we do. It's in the credits.
Oh, it is? Oh, I didn't watch the credits. My bad.
Yeah, that's what you get. Anyway, so
yeah, I should learn to watch the credits.
No, to be fair, it was like a photo. It was like a little photo book.
Oh, okay.
But you saw directly. There was a Mickey Mouse mascot and everything. They did go to Disney World, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, point being, so Leonard's mom gets nominated for the Teacher of the Year award in sunny Florida. Which leads to a cross country Went-A-Way-Go trip. They travel via Went-A-Way-Go, as they call them, Went-A-Go. One hiccup: no dogs allowed. No dogs allowed. Which leads to a very clever some very clever improv work by Scott in a pinch, who is actually, for the kids out there, may have been fooled kind of Clark Kent style by the glasses and everything, who is actually Spot, the dog, with a plan to meet wacko mad scientist Dr. Ivan Crank.
God.
to turn him into a real boy. Which, well, suffice to say, doesn't quite hit the mark, but it's close enough. Which leads to some big status quo altering life questions in the whole man's best friend paradigm dynamic of it all, which leads to kind of a musical animated travelogue extravaganza of operatic proportions, and that's pretty much the movie.
Okay. All right, so let's break down the characters, starting with, of course, Spot/Scott Leadready II. All right, Dragon, I know nothing about this show, man. So, where'd Leadready II come from? Why is he the second?
It's the funniest. I think it's one of the funniest gags in the whole series, actually.
Okay. Okay, tell me.
So he shows up, and we do a little bit of here too when he shows up when he's coming up with a name on the spot for his adult self in this movie. It's kind of like a retread of that, where he goes into school for the first day dressed as the kid as Scott. He comes up with Scott because it's like Spot.
Mm-hmm.
So he's basically in a pinch. Says, "Oh, what's your name, sweetie?" And he's looking around. He's like, and he sees that as she's like checking the attendance, she's holding a Leadready #2 pencil. So Scott Leadready. He just says Leadready 2, which she interprets as Leadready II. Okay. I love this game so much. Anyway, the point being, Scott Leadready II here. The idea, he's very, very studious, he's a very collegial pooch. This Spot character, as you probably gathered.
Yeah, of course, like you said, voiced by Nathan Lane. So Nathan Lane kind of gives it that weird adult cynicism element to it, which makes sense as we're going to explore in the character because, of course, in this movie we explore the idea that Scott, he might be roughly 7 years old.
Yeah, he's 7 years old.
But in dog years, that's in his mid 50s, something like that.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
He's a middle-aged man essentially, and this movie very much explores that.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the great things, of course, Spot has got a zest for higher learning and kind of the higher status than a dog. That's kind of the whole built into the premise of the show. Which, I mean, you don't really need to know a lot about the series to get the premise here. Just again, dog goes to school as a boy. I mean, the big change that we're not in school for the movie. That's the main change. But essentially, same premise. He longs to be a boy. Well, he doesn't want to be stuck home all day. He wants to go to school with the kid. So basically, there's always been this relatable touchstone in the character, and you get a lot here too. We get kind of the ultimate endpoint for this character, where he actually gets a chance to achieve his impossible dream, and that's the whole point. It's like, I think we all see these characters constantly in Disney movies, but this period we see a relatable quality in characters of they want something out of life. They want the impossible. We always want the impossible, and in Scott's case, it is to transcend his species, which again is another relatable touchstone. Sometimes again, is where we get all collegial and just kind of really read into things too much here, folks. You can look at it. Again, some people,
welcome to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Depending on your life experience, perhaps you want to transcend, potentially something about yourself that you don't like. Like you want to be someone else. You want to be like the consensus. You want to be like the status quo, whether it be like a gender or a race or whatever. You might want to be something else, depending on the life experience. In this case, it's a species thing. It's a species thing. With Spot, which is again really heady question for a kids show, but again it's kind of coded within kind of like the very simplistic premise, which is quite nice. So again, this character is so wonderfully exceptional and just kind of overqualified to be a dog, and he's kind of basically facing the age-old moral story in this movie of be careful what you wish for. For the whole series, you've been asking, you want to be a boy, you don't want to be a dog. Well, you know what? We're going to give you your wish, Fido.
Oh boy. What do you think of just how the movie was so aggressively marketed on the Pinocchio parody of it all?
I think it was. I gotta be honest. Looking back on it, I really think it's kind of a brilliant move. Honestly, because I love the way this movie opens. But I was going to save that for later.
It is a really fun. It is a really fun opening. We can save it for later.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We'll get to it then. But I think it was a real choice with the marketing. All right, let's see. So basically, the arc seems to be, it's kind of Spot coming to grips with kind of the whole dream here. Basically, as we kind of phrase at the start here, is he's wondering if this is a phase. And this is something I completely forgot about until I rewatched the movie now, is that if you look at this as the final installment, which it absolutely is that It's still a little up in the air whether he would kind of waver back on kind of his big epiphany by the end of the movie. But again, it seems that Scott is, it seems like, okay, it was a phase the whole time. Like he kind of makes a final decision by the end of this movie. I thought I wanted this for the whole series, and actually, I guess I don't want this. Because he's finally faced with the question of what next. Well, okay, let's play a what if. What if you got what you wanted? Where do you go next with the big shift in status quo that's going to bring? And that's the story of the movie. That's the adventure he embarks on, which kind of leads him to, like, do I want to bark or do I want to sing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to Leonard. Dragon. Just I don't know. I don't have a ton to say about this character just because I don't really follow the show, but we did we did follow through with that opening of, Leonard's very much kind of upset with Scott's ambitions of being a boy, and he kind of wants to maintain the status quo, if you will. That's sort of his role in the movie. So in a weird way, I don't know. I feel like this movie kind of pulls one of the things. It kind of pulls a Scoob, if you will, but a way better Scoob, where of course Scoob is like, we have to have that really, really forced, like, oh boy, they're gonna break up for like 5 minutes. But here I feel like it's a little better handled because I feel like the tension is sort of happening subtly throughout the movie.
Yeah, it's like basically this is like the issue that's been brewing through the whole series. It's again, go back just even to, like, the episode one, if you will, any episode. It's the same premise that we do here, where it's okay. Boy just wants a dog. Okay, he doesn't expect, like, when you have a dog, you don't expect to want to go to school with you and wear pants. You don't expect that.
Right.
And it's also the fun fact. Basically, Scott, in case because we don't spend any time at the school. I mean, I don't blame you for not knowing. It's just that basically, Scott is like, he's like Fonzie. He's the most popular kid in the school. Everybody loves Scott Leverett the second. That's the gag too, where it's like, your dog's more popular than you.
Okay, yeah, I could see how that would rub him the wrong way.
Like
Sure.
the girl you like, and he's not bitter, but like the girl you like, he was like talks to him where you have trouble working the nerve up to talk to the girl, that sort of thing. It's like, it's a little bit of that. So he's always kind of contending with that. And again, like, good news for Leonard. Hey, the summer's come, which means no school, which means he can be my dog for the whole summer. We can take a break from this really wonky, like, all these heady questions about, like, man's best friend, the whole dichotomy there. I get to spend the summer with my dog, and that gets shaken up in a big way with, oh my god, my dog is actually, human, and even beyond that, he's actually potentially going to be my dad. I don't know.
Oh my god, dude. When it got to that point, I was like, wow, this movie's got some guts to go in that direction.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, we think, okay, like, Leonard wants to take a break from the existential, like, kind of questions, like, oh man, my dog's like my rival. He's kind of like, he's my friend at school, but he's also my better at school. And, like, what does that say about me in my life? How that's going? And like, we're gonna get a break from that. And then now, even more existential, weird questions to deal with. Fun fact: this kid, Sean Fleming, does the voice of Leonard, and Disney loves to use this kid because let me give you a few really awesome roles this kid's been a part of. Okay, big connective tissue part here. He's Kim Possible's brothers, the twin brothers of Kim Possible.
Oh, okay.
Jim and Tim, and he was Max. He was young Max Goof in Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas.
Nice.
And he was young Tarzan in the Legends of Tarzan TV show.
There you go. And speaking of connective tissue, Dragon, is it just me, or does Disney really like to separate their best friend characters in these movies?
Oh my god, now you bring that up. Yes, 3 in a row. Oh my god.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good call. Yeah, you're right. So the separation.
It's kind of a trend.
Yeah, you're right. Someone cue the one is the loneliest number while we got it.
God. Oh god.
Anyway, okay, let's see. So point being, again, he's blindsided by the big questions there. He's okay. So I think that's all I really got with Leonard there.
All right. So now let's get to my favorite character. Oh my god, this character blew me away. She's got Vera Farmiga charm for days. Mary Lou Helperman.
Yeah.
Voiced by Kitty from That 70s Show. I don't have the name of the actress in front of me.
I don't have it offhand, but
okay, well, it's Kitty from That 70s Show. I instantly recognized it as Kitty from That 70s Show, and it's great. Oh my God, Dragon! This character is amazing. It's the ultimate mom character. I really got a kick out of her.
That it is. She was always kind of a favorite from the show, and she's just
I
great.
like how she's like an active role in the plot because of the whole teacher's pet of it all. I really appreciate that.
Oh wait, is it Deborah Jo Rupp? Is that it? I think
That sounds right. That
I
sounds
think
right.
I think it's Rupp. That's the thing. Anyway. So yes, you're right. She's here. Here's the thing I love about her most. I love that she was a teacher as well, because it also there's like a throwaway line. Because what I did, Tiki, is I didn't rewatch the whole series. It's been ages since I watched Teacher's Pet. But now, if I wanted to, I could watch it. Disney Plus, D Plus. Anyway, so no. Anyway,
Mhm.
um, it's that I watched the first episode just to kind of see. Okay, I wonder how the whole snake in its tail. You know, it's like a big fad now. Everyone's like on Netflix. They have like the first line of the show and the last line of the show.
Oh
The first scene,
God.
the last. I watched the first episode to see how it held up, and actually, again, quite reflective, full circle in certain elements, and I think there's like a throwaway line to he was adopted by the fourth grade class, so I don't know if that means that's how Scott. I don't know if she adopted Scott, and that's how while she was on a field trip or something. That's how Leonard ended up with the dog. I'm not 100% sure if that's how it went. It was only referenced in the first episode once. I didn't watch through everything, so I'm not 100%. But my point is, this lady, such a gem, man. She's nice as can be. She's pleasant. She reminds me of like the best grade school teachers I had as a kid. You know, it's like it's adorable. She deserves that Nito, darn it. She deserves that Nito award.
Yeah, and like we already said with the Formiga charm, she's quirky and like I said, Dragon, I really like that it's a mother character that's actively involved in the plot. That's something that you rarely get to see. It's so nice.
Yeah, she's our big kind of point A, point B plot reason for travel. This movie.
Yeah.
I'll admit though, succumbs a little bit to the falling for a man she just met. Let's be honest. But
Oh yeah, that's not a great look. Not a great look. I'll admit that. I'll
but you
admit
know what?
that.
She's been alone for a long time, and we like her, so you know it's.
It was a different time. It was pre-Frozen.
Yeah, it was. And again, she's. I think again, she wasn't gonna get married to him the next day. It was just she was falling for him. So yeah. Anyway, point being, so she falls for Mr. Manly Manning,
God.
singing his names in Formiga-esque style. Let's be honest. So point being, she is Mary Lou Helperman. She's this lovely, innocent character that cares about every student. She's giving group hugs on the last day of school, crying all over them. Is she a little oblivious? Sure, but you gotta love her. She's delightful. Okay.
All right, now let's get to, I'm sure, your favorite character, Dragon, Mr. Ivan Crank, or should I say Dr. Ivan Crank.
And you're darn right, Doctor. He went to evil medical school.
So, Dragon, is this guy, like, is he a reoccurring villain, or is he just for the movie? No? Just for the movie. That's what I thought, given the Kelsey Grammer of it all. So, of course, Kelsey Grammer just, this guy's just a pro at playing animated villains, and this one's no exception.
That is so true. You know me, T. I'm a huge, I love the Kells, man. I love the Kells.
The Kells.
Yes. I love Frasier. Of course, first love was him as the prospector in Toy Story 2. I can't get enough of Kelsey Grammer when he shows up, and it's basically plays a weirdo on the edge. That's pretty much what he's playing here. He basically, imagine if you took the civility out of like a Sideshow Bob. If you made like Sideshow Bob a mad science, but you took kind of the civility out of there.
Or the civility out of like a Doofenshmirtz from Phineas and Ferb or something like that. It's like he's just like a very evil version of Doofenshmirtz.
Yeah, but here's the thing: it's not even there's a slight sympathy I think you can have for Dr. Crank. Mind you, again, he is crazy. I won't make the distinction. The man is off his rocker, but. I love that here. I like how he parallels Scott in a way in that he too has an impossible dream, but his denial of that dream has embittered him and drove him mad. He's messing with nature. That's kind of the moral. Like, don't mess with nature, kids. Don't screw around with DNA and everything. But he's of course, like he's doing this by force versus like Scott's longing desire to change the status quo. He's trying to force the change in the status quo, and it's an interesting parallel between the two of them in that regard. And it's like some dreams shouldn't come true. That's kind of the moral of both of them. They both end up in the same thing. Some dreams just shouldn't come true because it upsets the natural order.
Yeah, and there is a nice parallel between him and Leonard, where, Leonard definitely does not want a new dad figure in his life at all. And all that Dr. Ivan Frank is dealing with is, Dr. Ivan Crank is dealing with is just like, don't call me daddy, from his two deformed experiment children. So there is a little bit of a parallel there, Dragon.
Absolutely. Again, kind of more of like kind of reverse, kind of like more of a polar opposite parallel. But yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's I love those series. Just it's like no one. But here's the thing. Here's what Crank doesn't understand. This is like kind of the genius of the character here, where he's like, he. Here's the sympathy. He wants vindication for everyone calling him wacko and just saying you're insane, you're crazy. Where again, he's working on something that actually could work. So you feel a little bad for him. But here's the thing. He just doesn't realize that even if he's successful, even if he does prove to the world, let's say he does get his dog man and his dog boy at the end of the day. Let's say if he does get those. When people see this, they're going to be horrified. Like, they're not going to accept this new science. It's like you look at the original Frankenstein. If he actually did demonstrate to people, hey, I can bring the dead back to life, who would want to live like that? No one's going to go for that.
Well, I mean, the other possibility I was thinking of is like he's just going to bring. I mean, this doesn't end up happening, but he's just going to bring, Man Scott on stage. And it's just going to be like, he's just a guy.
Yeah. You have to demonstrate it.
Right, exactly.
That's the thing. The point being, but again, I love the excuse, though. He's crazy. That's why it works. Think of this. And again, like, if you go with the logic of it here, it's like, look, even if he demonstrated this, even if he somehow proved it, would humanity want to rival itself by making all the animals sentient people? Because we need the animals in society, and beyond that, it's like now it's almost like an edible states question, Tiki. We're gonna have like the big heavy questions, like, well, now we have like a race of people that could rival us in that we have like this kind of race of people who were formerly subjugated by us now exactly with us here, and it's like, will we lower ourselves? Will we turn ourselves into the animals to balance out things? Like, who would want to do that? It's like, it's crazy.
Yep. Okay. So now let's get to the roadmap, Dragon.
Time to take a trip. So we start things off, at school with kind of the old status quo of the show here. But before we do that, on the way to school, we have the brilliant Pinocchio opening.
God. Yeah, the Pinocchio opening. Like I said, I remember it being highly marketed and kind of having just like a "what the hell is this" kind of vibe to it when I was a kid.
But I love that, though.
As an adult, I really appreciate it.
That's what I'm saying. I love this idea that.
Oh, especially because it apes the '90s, Nickelodeon or the '90s Disney VHS opening with the blue castle.
Yeah. So great, because on one level I love that it's like it never dawns on you until it happens, like, oh my god, it's the brilliant parallel for the dog who wants to be a boy through the entire series. Of course you would use Pinocchio, and your own, it's Disney's teacher's pet. Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah,
why on earth wouldn't you use Pinocchio and like stage it identically to the original with like the Jiminy Cricket, when you.
Oh my god! Might I just say they have a multiplane shot that looks actually like really damn good.
That's what I'm saying. If you're operating within the Disney sandbox, why wouldn't you do that? That's what I'm saying. It makes sense. But again, we have that Gary Baseman little cynical. Again, it's when we get to the Scott side of things, it's quite heartfelt and lovely. But getting there, throw a little bit of cynical shade at Pinocchio there, where we abbreviate a little bit, where he just turns automatically to real voice, like bashing his head happy. So again, a little cynical, but charm in the execution with the wake up call, where it says, "Oh yes," just Nathan, like, "Oh yes, dear blue fairy, I would love to be a boy," and of course, like just hitting him with "Enough, dear blue fairy," and of course, a little wake up call by Pretty Boy. It's hysterical.
Also, Pretty Boy, just rest in peace, Jerry Stiller.
Yes,
I feel like we need to bring that up.
Not only that, Tiki, recently Jerry Stiller, but again, it's so sad now. You go back to this movie, we've both lost Jerry Stiller and David Ogden Stiers.
Oh my god.
So both. I know, that's the thing. This duo is now gone. That's so sad. Looking back on the movie when you look at it. Anyway. So speaking of which, the opening, as I love, of course, after the little dream sequence, we then kind of have again, we're only in the status quo for about 5 minutes in this movie, but I like that we really bask in it. We milk the most out of it that we can with the Again, basically we take the opening of the series, which kind of sums up the premise, and we kind of do it here. We do it in kind of an operatic scale.
Hmm.
Kind of recap the status quo on the last day of school. You have that scale to it. It's we see the two sides of Spot. You know, the dog versus the boy, and it's quite good.
All right.
So we established the
Okay.
Nito, by the way. We established the Nito, and do you want to talk about Wally Shawn or?
Well, there's not much to say beyond just the whole like Goofy movie comparison, honestly.
I do have one thing to note, Wally Shawn. One fun thing. His
Okay.
character's name is Principal Strickler, and again, I wonder if there's a bit of a Back to the Future reference there, Principal Strickland.
Right.
So point being, in the school we set up. Okay,
Whenever I
summer
hear
vacation.
Strickland, I just think of Strickland propane.
Good point. I didn't really. Whenever I go to the King of the Hill, I'm thinking of Strickland the Principal. So it's a little.
Oh God, yeah, right, sure.
So the point being, we set up the vacation, the road movie, and they were taking ourselves out of the status quo like you were not.
Also, we set up the nephew of Dr. Ivan Crank, right?
Now this character is throughout the whole series.
I kind of figured.
Yeah, the weird kitty, and
Yeah.
okay. All right, so we go to Helpman House.
All right, so this is now who's the old lady? Is that Leonard's grandma?
No, it's like a neighbor's just pet sitting or something. It's Mrs.
Okay, gotcha.
I think it's like Mrs. Boogan or something. I don't know. I think she was in the series before, but I don't know 100% because I didn't rewatch it. But I know who does her voice though. And this is like another kind of layer to the whole Jerry Stiller thing here. Estelle Harris, the other half of Frank Costanza from Seinfeld, kind of showed up in this movie, kind of playing. This is kind of sweet to me. I love that Pretty Boy is complimentary. The woman's nice, not all there, but she's nice.
This to me, like this whole subplot, kind of reminded me of like a more classy version of Secret Life of Pets.
Yeah. So let's see. Basically, at the Helpman house, two big things get established here. So one, we set up the dilemma of the whole no dogs allowed, where basically because the principal has nominated her for the award and lent her the Winnebago thing. Principal is very cat happy, as you probably guessed, with the cat just kind of clawing himself all over the principal. The idea is every time the principal walks in, he gets by Scott Ledready, the cat freaks out and he doesn't know why. It's kind of a running gag there. So it's like the cat hates the dog. Anyway, point being, he's very anti-dog because of this. And there was I know there was a really good reason the first episode why he hated dogs. I had no idea until I rewatched it.
Okay.
Dog bit his thumb off.
Well, I mean, yeah, I can't deny that is a good reason.
Like the top of his thumb. So the point being was really horrific. Anyway, so the point being, the dog's not allowed on the trip, which fortunately Scott Ledready is not going on the trip. Only Spot would be going on the trip, which means Spot.
I have a question though, Dragon. I have a question.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they just why wouldn't they just go with the Scott Ledready disguise from the get-go?
Well, initially, I guess he just resigned himself. I'm just going to be the dog waiting home. It's only going to be 2 weeks after all. And the main reason Scott goes on the trip is for the science experiment. That's the main reason he goes. So that's kind of that's the main reason. Otherwise, it's like perhaps like the whole like hoop again. You have to. I think it's the same thing we're going to see later on, where you have to talk to Ledready's parents, and again you have to orchestrate a whole thing there. So
right.
Maybe the point being there would have been questions, but wasn't really even on his mind yet. So that's the main reason. Like he wasn't even thinking about that until like, oh my god, I got to get to Florida, and I have the perfect in.
All right.
So little thing comes on the TV.
Yeah, the Barry Anger show. What's the deal with the Barry Anger show, Dragon?
Oh yeah, I think it's just for the movie, but Barry Anger essentially is Jay Moore, the comedian, doing his Jerry Springer impression.
Also, I got a little bit of a Mad Money vibe to it.
Yeah, sure, a little bit of Mad Money in there, but definitely like just kind of like what if Jerry Springer was not as civil as he appears to be on that show? Like, what if he was just like angry?
Oh God!
So basically, he gives us the big old plot point about Dr. Crank, and later on educates Pretty Boy and Mr. Jolly about the whole mutant angle of Dr. Crank. Why that's something we got to avoid with our dashing little dog.
Mm.
All right. Okay.
Okay, so let's stop at the Pump and Pay gas station.
Yeah, and also let's get a
At
bite to
Bob's
eat.
Countryside Homestyle Buffet.
Yeah, buffet. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, the gas station is where we get that great kind of like improvised sequence where he's changing in and out of all the costumes, right?
Yeah, so we have
That's one
Nathan.
of my favorite scenes in the movie.
We have Nathan Lane unleashed in this in this buffet sequence. There, where as Scott, he basically it's Scott Ledruddy thinking on his feet. My favorite little detail in the rewatch, I completely forgot about. I love when Scott re-enters. He has like the chorus behind him, like the ooh, 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 as he like Scott Ledruddy makes his grand re-entrance. Like, this is. Did you say Spot? No, he said Scott, Mrs. Helperman. It's just like the chorus, like saying, "Oh yeah, it's all funky and everything." It's really nice, and of course, like you see how good he is, and then of course in the behind, well, Scott, I don't think I can take it unless you get, unless it's okay with your parents. And of course, we just have this transformative scene here where he's left and right, he's shapeshifted because basically in a panic he listed off like a whole litany of family members instead of just his mother. So basically, this family emergency where he would be able to travel with. Again, it makes no sense if you really apply any logic to it, but thankfully, Mrs. Helperman, she's a nice lady, thankfully. So we have Mom, which we have this great big bad wolf gag here, where it's like, wait, I have a dress just like that. Oh, really? You don't say. I have earrings just like that too. And it's like, you don't say. Are you gonna?
So he has to like go and like switch out of other people's clothing, like the kitchen people and just people in the restaurant.
The table steals like a tablecloth, becomes
Right.
grandma, and I think Nathan Lane's on fire here. As grandma says,
On
like,
fire and like very genie-esque in terms of like it's a voice actor unleashed and the animation is kind of like going along very smoothly to fit how unleashed the voice actor is. I feel like it really works in tandem with each other.
and it's a blue character, so it really fits on all sides.
Blue is too good for Omako would say.
Yes. Anyway, so of course I love the grandmas. Is like, I didn't go to Florida when I went to Florida when I was the boy's age, and I didn't go to Florida when I was the boy's age, and I look at me, I'm all bitter now. So, well, wait, do you want to? No, I'm too bitter. I can't join you. I think it's like Uncle Seamus and the dummy Floyd, which of course is Leonard dressed like a Gordon's fisherman is the dummy. Just top of the morning to you. I do the Irish stereotypes around here. That's just really fun. Of course, that's the ultimate punchline to this sequence is like, "Oh, I was planning on taking him the whole time." Yeah, couldn't you just say that to the lady in the dress? Just hysterical sequence. Anyway, so then we go to sunny Florida.
Oh God. When are we? How many times are we going to use the Florida thing?
If he didn't say it like he did in the movie, I wouldn't have brought it up like that. But again, he says it like that in the movie. Not just once. He says like a few times.
A bunch of times, yeah.
If he didn't do it a bunch of times, I would have just let it go.
All right, so we get a song about Florida, right?
Well, we get like a cross country song, like a montage. Like they want it, like Mom wants to sing a travel song, and then basically they're
oh yeah, the travel song across the 50 states. That was great, man. Yeah. That gives Wacko's 50 State song a run for its money, honestly.
It does. Not as a cappella, but yes.
Well, it doesn't list the capital, so it's not as impressive on a lyrical scale. But still, I like that it goes in alphabetical order and really rhymes very well.
Yeah. So
that's the thing. That's the thing about all the songs in this movie, Dragon. They're catchy, they're ambitious, they're bombastic. I feel like we're not talking enough about the songs.
I mean, as I mentioned with the opening, Tiki, and also when we do the recap at the very end, I love the operatic scale. That's my favorite part. We're kind of mixing the animation, and we're just taking it was already kind of a catchy song in the first place. We just kind of we up the scale for the theatrical of it all. And we have we go with all sorts of styles with all these songs. We have like a triumphant one later on with the Mr. Jolly and the Pretty Boy, and then we go like kind of like a tango later on. It's like we do like a rock opera later on. It's like we go all sorts of places with these songs.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So anything else in Florida?
Yeah, we kind of see scenic Florida. We go to places like the beach, which again, points is a different ball game than back home with all these different locations, and do a little bit of I love the exposition gag on the beach, where basically Scott fills Leonard in on what's going on. What we do is we use the beach and the ambient sounds to mask over the information we, the audience, know already. which is really clever.
Mhm.
Yeah, we have some misadventures, like the whole $500 misadventure where they find the lost puppy using like the dog howl when he's human, and we're exploring the real estate of the
You need
shopping.
to you need to see more classic animated movies.
Yeah. So the fun humor like that all kind of throughout the film. All right.
All right. So 666 Wacko Way.
No. If I read it correctly, it's 666 Echo
Wacko
Way.
Way. Oh God, I wasn't sure if that was a typo. That's
No.
great.
That's the thing. It's like that's how it's spelled in there. I want to say it's like a pig Latin thing, like Echo Way.
Uh-huh.
Let's say so. Yeah. So 666. I love the misdirect gag where you go to 665 and it's like a utopian, like futuristic. This is the perfect place to put it, like a science lab. And of course, no, it's like a little gator lab, like swamp lab.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so I love using Crank as an unconventional deer blue fairy. I love that idea so much. Didn't quite need the visual of it, but I love that idea. No, visual's fine. I'm saying it's quite horrifying.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Just this whole thing really kind of it kind of happens like halfway through the movie, right? The switch up.
Yeah, pretty much. Like halfway. Yeah, maybe halfway or like a little halfway through. Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, Dragon, somehow I did not have it spoiled for me at all. So it was a surprise when it happened, even though I should have probably seen it coming, given the dog years of it all.
I love the build up to it with the tango and the origin song for Dr. Crank, where we just kind of like you think okay, it's a little origin song, but no, like the big punctuation at the end of the origin song is the blast that turns him from dog to boy, or in this case, dog to big boy.
Uh-huh.
I love that if you notice, he looks like a Bob's Big Boy, but just like
A little bit.
looks like a middle-aged Bob's Big Boy.
Oh God.
So let's see. Again, I just love the impassioned craziness that's within the tango and like the whole like he does a little Frank Sinatra nod, which is even funnier. And the Nito machine is one of my favorite things from the movie. I love the idea of this coin-operated mad scientist laser.
Mhm.
It's just I love that. I just love that it's like for a quarter you can transform someone's DNA and the whole like just coincidence of this long acronym for NEATO being like neuro enhanced animal transformation operation, that sort of thing, and like, doing it like the teachers award as well. It's kind of funny. Let's see. So, point being, huge game changer in status quo. Scott is turned with the dog again. I love the illogical logic for two things. With Scott really struck out to me, as you said, the dog ears thing is like, well, that tracks. That makes sense. Like Scott did crack the code on the whole. Like you've been using reptile DNA, and that's why it's been bombing out. That's why you're getting mutant. That's why you're getting mutants. Dog, you use a mammal. It's gonna turn out well, which makes sense. But unfortunately, dog ears, which is going to it's going to give you human, not boy.
Yeah.
And also, you can eat chocolate now, which again, it's like they did a whole. When I think Teacher's Pet, there's one episode I always think of Tiki. It's the Halloween episode because the big plot point is Scott accidentally eats chocolate.
Oh no.
That's the thing.
Not
Is like
good.
there's a big question, like, oh God, what is going to happen to Scott? Because I assume he went trick or treating as a kid, and he got eating the chocolate, which of course, well, as you can probably imagine. The point being, he survived, as you can probably guess. So it all worked out well, but it was still quite scary. Anyway, so I love in this, like when he's romancing Mary Lou, eats the whole thing of chocolates because he now can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Romancing Mary Lou is one of the funniest moments in the movie too. Just kind of in general, it kind of has like just a weird kind of twisted sense of humor about it.
Yeah. And again, she's putting the moves on him. He's not even.
Oh yeah, totally, without a doubt.
He's just trying to keep up the ruse of the name. He's just acting manly for the name's sake. Oh God. So let's see. We have a little Deus Ex Machina to get our guys out of the jam here with Ian, the odd nephew. And what I do love about Ian though is I love that Crank really does value his nephew because he's the only one who doesn't think that he's crazy. But you ruined my plans, so you're grounded the whole summer. Don't come out till Labor Day.
God.
We should talk about the mutant children a little bit more. Like we have sorry, we have Adele and Dennis. Dennis and Adele.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really think they added much to the movie. I mean, outside of the whole parallel I mentioned with the fatherly thing, that's the thing, Dragon. I felt like that whole idea was a little bit half baked.
Yeah, you're. I think you're right about that. A little fun fact: you have Paul Rubens and Megan Mullally. There's a really fun kind of talent there. It's like Paul
I
Rubens.
loved hearing Rubens. Don't get me wrong. Rubens is a lot of fun. And Mullally as well.
Like the whole
Good casting, but there's something about the characters that just kind of feel off. It's kind of like the government agents in the Recess movie. It's kind of just like they don't necessarily feel like they belong in the movie in a way.
You know what
At
it
least
was
that's
for
the
me?
vibe I got.
I think I
What?
know why, Tiki. I have a theory. I think it's because they're ineffectual henchmen. It's the fact they're tasked with finding them, and they never find them. They never do
They
anything. They're not
don't
medic.
do anything. And that's exactly why I can't get behind them like being in the movie at all, to tell you the truth, because they really don't do much of anything. Yeah, I hear
I mean, they're
you.
likable enough, but really, at the end of the day, there's kind of these pitiable abominations of science. Let's be honest.
All right, I'm glad we're on the same page about that.
All right, let's see. So let's talk about a duo that is quite the opposite. Let's talk about kind of our guys going. We kind of go to scenic Cuba along the way here. So basically, let's cover kind of our travelogue with Pretty Boy and
All
Mr.
right.
Jolly.
So, Dragon, I don't know. If it seems like I'm not saying much in this podcast, it's just because I'm like kind of self-conscious about the fact that I'm just not familiar with this show, and so I just don't want to like say something wrong. And I'm really not familiar with these characters
I'm
either.
telling
I
you that you're
take it
really
they're
not
just
missing much. What you see is pretty much what you get with the dynamic. I think you're pretty. What you got is pretty solid.
all right, but I guess what I got, I don't know. It's just kind of like a typical Jerry Stiller shtick. Like I wasn't really wowed by these characters by any means. I didn't. Again, Dragon. I feel like I hate to say it, but as much as I love Jerry Stiller and I hate that he's gone and everything, I don't really think that this subplot needed to be in the movie.
I don't think you're wrong because here's the thing. We kind of need him to get point A to point. Basically, if there were cell phones, we wouldn't have this story arc at all. It's like we had a
Oh
cell
yeah.
phone.
Oh yeah.
They put a little call into Leonard. Leonard, you gotta listen to me. There's a there's a chance he could be mutated. And that's pretty much. But here's the thing: by the time they get there, it's too late because he's already been transformed. So they're kind of pointless,
Hmm.
unfortunately. And again, they're fun characters. They are fun characters, but you're absolutely right, Tiki. They don't really serve much of a role in the story outside. We want to see these characters, and we give them a nice little song. Give them like a kind of a triumphant, almost SpongeBob-esque song. It's kind of the equivalent to "Now That We're Men." Dun, dun, in this case, like small but mighty, small. It's kind of a catchy song, but outside of that, it's a rousing adventure song, but not much of an adventure. Let's be honest. They're getting from point A to
Yeah, not much of an adventure at all. I don't really remember much of what they do, to tell you the truth, in
and
Cuba.
yeah, they travel by train. Basically, they end up on Cuba for a bit. I just wanted to get an excuse to kind of work that in there and just kind of travel. They end up on Cuba, and it's like, yeah, welcome, and like subtitles, like missed it by that much. And then they end up in Florida via the dump, which, what I think one of the best
Oh
lines.
yeah, I remember that. I felt like that was a little cheap, honestly.
It was kind of funny that line he had, where this is a great Jerry Stiller delivery here. It says, "Florida, it's more like Jersey with palm trees."
Yeah, he's not wrong.
Yeah, yeah. So let's see. So again, I want just to talk about just the dynamic here. Again, just even with what we have this in the movie. Again, I'm just we have Pretty Boys, just kind of the gruff, kind of tell it as it is, kind of Jerry Stiller-esque character, and you have Mr. Jolly, which again is David Ogden Stiers, just being this really wonderfully fey and prissy house cat. Just this great kind of opposite pairing of characters, kind of a softer touch versus the not so soft touch. Always like, I ain't no blue fairy. It's just there's not a lot there, but it's just kind of funny. It's like I'm glad they're in the movie. It gets
I
really
just, I feel like they serve their purpose okay. I just feel like Recess is a movie like where that's a good example we talked about, where it's the Avengers philosophy, right? They don't all have storylines, but they all have moments.
true.
And I feel like this movie almost kind of like goes the opposite direction of Recess, where they try to give everyone a storyline, but they don't that kind of results in a lack of standout moments. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense, Dick. I hear you.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. So then we get to kind of our low of lows destination, which is the Sad Motel.
Now, Dragon, I will admit, this is a pretty legitimate low of lows, I have to say. Like, just because, like, yeah, of course Leonard doesn't want Scott/Spot to be his dad. Of course they would, have a falling out over that, But by the same token, I also appreciate that in the movie, Scott has gotten, a lot of development. He's kind of seen himself in a new light. And he doesn't want to go back to just being the dog either. So, legitimately, Dragon, I do feel like it's a falling out that I can kind of see both sides of, and that's rare.
Yeah. Also, better. What got us to this low of lows, far better collar moment than Scoob. Like the whole I bought that collar with my own allowance. I want it back.
Stupid collar, Scoob. Oh,
but again,
God.
right? Far better done. It's done far better here.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's see.
You know what moment I keep on seeing on Scoob that just pisses me off?
What moment?
Shaggy, you said you'd never leave. I'm just like, fuck you, movie. Anyways, sorry, go ahead. I'm still bitter that I paid $25 for that piece of shit.
You did.
Yeah, well, at least you and Monkey got to watch it for free.
Yep.
All right. Anyways, go ahead.
So, anyway, well, now again, ignore that for any legal ramifications. Anyway, so okay, low's moment here. So I love that. Well, basically, what Scott longed for most. Basically, Scott is longing for his most meaningful relationship, and also dealing with the loneliness of independence. I think it's kind of the metaphor is kind of dealing with the loneliness of independence. Of like, with your new status quo, you're a grown man. You have no codependent relationship with the boy, and especially if you're not going to be his father, you got no place being in that family. Therefore, what are you? He's kind of facing these big. It's kind of like a coded moral of not growing up too fast. You don't want to grow up too fast, or else if you're in basically again Scott thinking he wanted this the whole time. Maybe you don't want to grow up so fast. Maybe you don't want the perils that come with humanity. Perhaps you just want that codependent relationship. You want to be young forever in a sense.
Sure.
And of course, we have the fun reprise. Another song we probably should have talked up a little more. Basically, Leonard's whole kind of his big character thing is a friend needs a friend, a boy needs a dog song. So that's kind of.
Oh my god, it's a pretty epic song too. It's dare I say it's almost kind of like Man and Muppet-esque.
Very much so. Yes, it is. That's a perfect analogy. It's very point being. It's very. So of course that's kind of been the mantra for their bond, for their relationship. That's what Leonard wants in this world. We've seen what Scott wants. What Scott wants is the opening of the series.
Right.
So it's kind of a really interesting role reversal where both Leonard and Spot both are supporting each other, supporting the needs of the other one. They're both kind of racing to Dr. Crank so they can kind of get the process either reversed or have Leonard turned into a dog, which is even trippier. But again, he's willing to make if he can't be my dog, I'll be his dog. Darn it. Yeah. Again, small hole in that plan. Again, well, remember last time you got transformed, Crank tried to keep you prisoner, so I don't know how that's really gonna work for you. But good luck, buddy. All right.
All right. Let's see. Next up, we have. We're on to the ending climax, the neato of it all.
Yes.
All right.
So let's see. So big climax, a lot of crazy transformations, kind of transfer here. I want to say this. I love that the nickel was the undoing of the bad guy. Gave him if I had a nickel for everything.
That's really fun. Yeah.
It's one of my favorite gags.
That's I love when screenplays kind of pay off like that.
It's great. I love that. I just love that. It makes sense. Although Dr. Crank has this little change belt on his thigh, and he has all this, because again, he's stocked with all sorts of change, but especially quarters, so he can operate the machine. And again, maybe a few nickels in there. Why he would have nickels, knowing this could be the kryptonite to his machine, is beyond me. But who cares? It's hilarious. That's the basically in putting a nickel in the machine, he jams it up so it's doing a lot of random blast and kind of making everything go haywire. And of course, we like briefly transform Mr. Jolly and Pretty Boy and like human, which looks really disturbing.
It does. It does.
we
And
turn back.
that's one fun thing about this finale is that it does give a good excuse to just kind of go all out with the transformations and animations.
Let's see, Ivan Cranky gets turned into, I think it's like a lab rat, but it might be a mouse, just for the heck of it. The point being, it's turned into like a rodent of some kind. Just kind of, I guess it's kind of fitting at the end of the day, kind of lab rat of it all.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, and basically we have, so of course we have this big moment where we kind of like gas, we kill the dog. You never kill the dog in the animated movie. For a moment, we kill the dog.
Scoob, they kill Shaggy.
Yep.
I don't even care if I'm spoiling it.
Okay, you really
said you never leave.
You've really gotten bitter over that Scoob movie.
Oh, I have.
Yeah. Anyway, but I know how much you love the sequel, though. It's an obscure joke. Anyway, so I love Superman. We kill Spot, and then of course I love that we're kind of like it's almost like the whole like I don't believe in fairies moment, if you will. It's the whole like oh no, she doesn't believe in fairies. We have to bring her back almost. Where it's like we've killed the protagonist, we kind of bring it back not through magic, but through kind of convenient signs where Leonard just kicks the machine and it does one last blast that fixes the dog. And I meant to mention this earlier. I love it when we do the transformation effect, like the big ones that count. We do a Sam Raimi kind of nightmare sequence when Scott was first transformed, it was all wrapped up like a mummy, and we saw the DNA and the dog parts of the DNA running away. It was a really good transformation sequence. Going to do that here in reverse with the reformation. So he's back, and last in regards to the final note of things is that we hit a potential final note after this ordeal, after the whole adventure of the movie. Spot looks like he was going through a phase the whole time, and he accepts being a dog. With given the last song is kind of a reprise, but it's all centered around I want to be a dog. I don't want to be a boy. It's all dog. In a very operatic fashion with really nice painting at the end. So again, I just love we keep ramping it up and amping it up. How can we?
Yeah. No. The ending song is very much just like they're like tearing in and out of each other's bodies, which is great.
Yeah. That's
like man, dog.
Dog. And that's like I love that he's like at the end of the day, the moral is he's content. The moral is he's content with who he is at the end of the day. And again, there's a chance if it's always implied they're going to the 5th grade. We're never going to see it because the show's over with this. But maybe he'd flip flop yet again. Who knows? But again, if they never did that, it does add a nice layer of finality. He's where he needs to be here. I love that within the song, like when they do the reprise of a friend needs a friend, like a film needs an end, and they're showing them animating the movie.
Yeah. There's a lot of just rapid fire jokes there.
You know what I'm saying? I love Baseman style with the rapid fire humor like that. That's what I'm saying. It's like again, family friendly Ren and Stimpy effect going on there. So now I know you didn't see this, but just so you know, the other reason I want the neato of it all here again, we see because we don't see it in the movie. I completely forgot we never saw it in the movie. We see it in the credits through a little photo book. Basically, the credits are we go through a photo book set to the song sang by Christy Carlson Romano. Another Kim Possible connect. She sings the song. We see Mary Lou got her neato award. She won the contest, Tiki. She won the contest.
Was there ever any doubt, Dragon?
And you know what she did afterwards? She's going to Disney World. And she did.
Oh, God. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So, final thoughts from me, Dragon. This movie is a little bit of an enigma, I've got to say, because it's a weird experiment, Dragon. It's a weird experiment going into a movie where the show has a pretty simple premise, but still, I don't know all the ins and outs of it. But I gotta say, it's not my favorite in the roster. I don't think it's anywhere near Recess School's Out, honestly. But in terms of ambition, it does get up there in certain spots. It's got some really fun meta humor in it. Kelsey Grammer makes a good villain. And the songs are definitely, for me as a music theater nerd, the highlight of the film. And I could definitely just watch this movie again just for the songs. I really thought the songs really pushed this movie kind of over the edge in a lot of ways. So overall, while it's not Recess School's Out in terms of just like, oh my god, this movie is just marinated in my own childhood nostalgia, it's still a lot of fun, and I'm sure for the people that grew up with it, it's even more beloved.
Final
Right.
thoughts for me, not the deepest story. Maybe a little rushed in the end, but again, it's like we're building things up, and it doesn't feel unsatisfying. It just feels like, again, it's kind of with the editing and the pacing of things, and I don't know if maybe it's if you took out the pretty boy stuff and like kind of the little travelogue on the side with the subplot, maybe it would have played a little smoother. I don't know. The point being, it's like it's like I feel like the movie doesn't overstay its welcome. Though I want to make that clear. The movie it goes by and knows where to end, and it kind of goes to that really great buildy ending with the whole like boy dog and all it ends on the right note with that.
Mm-hmm.
In the story as a whole, it brings about a logical conclusion to the show's premise, where okay, well, he kind of settles on dog or boy, and when you want an answer, you get an answer, and it's a very unique project where it really feels like the creator went out on his own terms and on the big screen. Which again, I feel happy. Again, I assume I don't know this for a fact. I like to assume that's the case, and the creator got what he wanted, and he kind of got the movie he wanted, and kind of said everything he needs to say in kind of the last outing, which is really all I can really ask for with something like this. And it was, it's fun, not perfect, fun. And yeah, it's quite interesting. Again, it's a Disney movie unlike any other. I can say that much for sure.
Yeah, it's weird to think that this one was theatrical, Dragon. It really is.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, folks, thanks for joining us. Next one is going to be the Proud Family movie, a desert island movie. So we're going from the road trip to the Hawaiian vacation. I'm not sure if it's Hawaii per se, but still
Yeah,
the island vacation, the tropical vacation, the tropical
yes.
paradise.
There you go.
So that should be fun. All right, so it's time for the flight home. Don't forget to stow your luggage and fasten your seat belts. You'll be home shortly, but don't you fret. We'll be taking off before you know it on our next animation vacation.
Boy dog, boy dog, boy dog.
Boy, dog.